me, a swish pan is like the immediate way that we see it. And you see it in all forms where, for instance, a new Cadillac commercial, if you see that now, all along the sides of the car, these blurred lights going by as the people are talking, and it's really wonderful and beautiful, and it's real cool. So, but what caught my attention over time as I've been developing this work is that, this is an experience that we all know, but you don't know why you really know that. I mean, why would you understand that in a video form or a photographic form as something that indicates movement? So anybody that's lived in an urban area, obviously, other than maybe people that are tribal that haven't traveled in vehicles moving fast enough, they don't have that experience. But in general, most people in our world know what that's like. And really, it's kind of something that's only 100 years old. It's since the inception of photography. I mean, photography's older than that. Anyway, so this piece starts out where I look for fragmented imagery, and I find it everywhere. I shoot it myself. I steal it from anywhere I can find it. I manipulate it. I go onto a website called Flickr. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a photo sharing website. But what's really cool about Flickr is you can dial and go blurred cars, and you get 25,000 images of blurred cars. Now, some of it, so you sit there for an hour and a half and go through as many as you can tolerate to go through, and then I capture those images and I pull them back into my computer, and and so I get a guy on a motorcycle in Thailand, ripping by a place, and I'll look at it, and I don't care about the guy, I don't care really about the picture, but in the background is this great blurred set of lights. I'm like, oh, that's it, So then I just run that through Photoshop, and I cut it, and distort it, and stretch it until I get a frame out of all that and like I said, it could take hours to get one piece. So it's kind of like going out and drawing until you get there, however people arrive at what they're going to, however they get to their work. So that's how the imagery is. That's my template for making this work. Then the background, when I start to make the backgrounds, I don't really pay attention to the image itself. I just know that I'm trying to indicate direction, and I'm trying to get fragments of things that are visually interesting that you recognize, like cell phones. And this piece is heavily obscured because I got really obsessive about everything. And the more current ones I'm doing aren't as obscured, so the background is more, it's more revealed. So all of a sudden I've been covered up, a week's worth of work with 2 weeks worth of work. So, you see contacts, and then there's part of a motorcycle tank and a grill, and so, and then some of them there's actually, this one I've obscured it, but there's fragments of cars, like there's a tire here, part of a tire, and anyway, so the background becomes important to me to have something about again that what is it that you drive by? Cars, buildings, advertising, that kind of stuff. So then once I've achieved the background, then I try to push it back, and I put paint over it, and then I start working with these forms that are the paper cut paper, and really, this is one of the first ones, and I started to work with, this is from Mary J. Blige, is that her name? Mm-hmm. I'm never sure exactly how that works, but not that I'm that old, but it's just, I don't listen to her. Anyway, so this is like a part of a billboard that she had of a concert she was doing, and it says ringtones, and I started to pull in, this is part of the printing, the offside of the printing that shows the color. So, again, I'm trying to involve little pieces of interest for people. Again, just like if you could still frame that down, and as you drove by, what would you see? What would you remember? What would your brain recoalesce or coalesce? So that's what this piece is about, and the pieces that I'm currently working on, and the one that's in the box shop. Yes.
Sounds like pointillism on speed.
Yeah, that would work. I look at it more, especially as I've progressed. There's a real pop art interest for me, and there was 2 pieces I did that are in the Sheridan downtown, and they're 7 feet by 8 feet, and one piece that's in a gallery that'll be on the website that's 6 feet by 10 feet, and that scale really allows me to work with the type more, and then to have fragments of words that pieces of sentences that I'm really having a good time with, because I'll get a vitamin water billboard. If you've ever read the bottle of, there's like some comical statements on it. Well, now I'm getting type that's this big of those sentences, And so I can take something that says blow your horn or something like that, and then I can take that and, you know, say horn, or, and like separate all the words and then cut them so that you don't see the whole. Again, I'm trying to cut it so that there's just that little edge where you read it and you kind of read it, but you're not sure if you're getting the whole thing. So that, again, there's another level of interest for the viewer where they're going, is that really saying that? Or what is that saying? Where did that come from? And all those kind of things for me then relate to that pop art experience. And that's a direct, for me, that's real direct from Ed Ruscha. And I don't know if you know Ed Ruscha out of California, but he paints word paintings if you don't know his work. And if you don't, you should check him out. He's one of my art heroes. And in fact, he has a piece today in the New York Times about the World Trade Centers, and it's a really nice little piece, a photograph that he took in 1961, so it's kind of cool. But anyway, he, you know, so I'm interested in that again, because to me what he does is, again, that fragmented, messed up kind of, what do we see, how do you relate to things, what do you think? And I identify with that, and that's probably why, one of the reasons, and she'll ask me about, well, I worked in TV for 20-some years as a designer. And one of the things we did at the last job I had, which was the art director of Channel 15, was we did a lot of investigative pieces, and one of the things that was a nice transition between the editing to make it, everything we wanted to do was real high speed. We wanted the viewer to kind of get this in a sense of like, so I don't know if you remember when we came on the air and that ABC became an ABC affiliate, but it was a really kind of hardcore broadcast compared to almost anywhere in the country. Anyway, so we did swish pans as edits, which was the coolest thing. But if you worked in TV, you know, one of the things that, now it's a little different because it's digital, but before when it was analog, you had two tape decks and you would go between them. And you can still do it digitally, but you know, people be zipping by something and you see it fragmenting and breaking up and that kind of stuff. And that spoke to me. But when I left TV, I wanted to get away from that. I didn't want to make that work in 1998 because that's what I've been doing. So the relationship for that work, and now, again, if we got a couple minutes, we'll kick onto the internet here. We'll see. The old work I did was landscape painting from Utah, where like the rock formations are this big and the panel's 7 feet long, and then it's all sky that's poured paint. And then as you go from the exterior of the image to the interior of the image, or the horizon that I'm focusing on, it's very rendered very tightly, and then as you went out, it fragmented out. But what I didn't realize is there was kind of a sense of the way that I was even applying the paint that indicated movement. So, over time, I realized that that was kind of neat. I liked it, and I was doing it, but I wasn't connecting. And as I said, so '98, I did lots and lots of paintings, and then until 2000, 2001, and that's when the thing started. The foundation of what I'm doing now started. But in 2005 is when I really started working with paper and that whole concept of the way I approach the work now and that remnants of movement. So that's a lot. So I'll take some questions, and then if you don't mind, we'll look at, yes?
You talked about the glass beads. Would they use this at all?
Have I used glass beads on these? No, not on these surfaces. The glass beads I'd like to use them again, but I just don't, I'm more interested in this right now, and so I don't know how that fits back into what I'm doing. There may be another way to use it again, but originally, one of the pieces that I did, I should say, and we'll be able to look at this, I used the paper in the background, and then I made geometric forms out of the glass beads over that. So, but they were very solid forms, and the glass beads are, they're real reflective. So when you're driving, you can see them at night.
Right.